All right, so what I want to do here is I just want to go over a quick kind of summary of a really cool improvement that we're making here at Elite Defense Systems. It obviously centers around our curriculum and how we teach the concepts that JKD has given us and things like that. What we're doing is we're restructuring everything. We're still keeping the three main student levels. All right, I'm going to get into the levels higher than these just at a later time. But for right now, what I want you guys to understand is that there's obviously still three main levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And how I can best summarize on what we're teaching and how we're teaching is really through these kind of bullet points right here. First of all, the beginning level is mainly going to focus on developing the core fundamentals. Now, when you're talking about the fundamentals of self-defense, it is nuts to think that you can only be one-dimensional or even two-dimensional. What it really comes down to is making sure that you cover every single area of self-defense. And as you guys know, there's 5 areas of self-defense. We have kickboxing range, which as far as a punch or a kick would fly. There is weapons, and when you talk about weapons, it's a very, very broad area. You're talking about knife fighting, stick fighting, dealing with firearms, whether offensively or defensively, projectile weapons, just a bunch of things there. Ground fighting would be the third one. And we also then move into close quarters and mass attack. Pretty self-explanatory as far as those 2 areas go as well. So regardless of what level you're talking about, we're not going to say, listen, you need to develop your kickboxing skills here before you get into the intermediate level when we start covering our ground fighting. Or you need your ground fighting or close quarters before we start getting into the advanced stuff, which is mass attack. What I personally believe is that regardless of what level you're at, you need to incorporate every single area of combat, right? And every single student's line of development, regardless of what level they're at, they need to get into kickboxing, close quarters, ground fighting, weapons, mass attack, everything. But what I wanted to do as far as revamping the curriculum or really improving the curriculum is make sure that, first of all, we're more organized within our curriculum. Because my main goal when I took a look at this stuff is making sure that we can create students who are just better, but doing it in a faster amount of time. And so what I've really been working on, like I said, over about the last 14 to 18 months, give or take, is really developing that and testing it out with students, working with private students, even working this into some of my organizational work with law enforcement, even military and things like that. And this is kind of the culmination. This is more or less what I came up with here. The beginner level, it's going to focus on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are going to focus on, or really kind of give us, not only your basic strategy, but also tools to use within that strategy. It's mainly focusing on technique, and it's developing the techniques that a person needs to be successful in whatever range we're talking about. If you think about the beginner level, my main goal with the beginners is to make sure that they have a streamlined kind of answer or solution on how to deal with any one of these ranges of fighting. So it's like, if you get caught on the ground, who cares about knowing 88 different techniques, down the ground? It really centers around what is needed to survive that kind of situation. Same thing where if someone pulls a knife on you, you need to know exactly what to do. I could care less about having this option and that option, and listen, this option can branch off in this chain of techniques. That's not necessary. What's necessary is just giving you 1 or 2 strategies and then wiring the student to make sure that they really understand that and where it becomes second nature as quickly as possible. So that's the main focus here of the beginner level. The intermediate level, that's when I start to introduce that there's really 2 parts of any kind of, martial arts style. There is the art side and there is the science side of it. Once you have down the fundamentals, I think it's important to make sure you really get into the art of, of whatever martial art you're studying. This is going to be mainly accomplished through getting into drills, focusing on energy drills, and really developing attributes. That's really the fruit of, of working through your drills and energy drills and things like that. What's unique about this is, and this is one of the main, I don't want to say kind of complaints that went on in my head as I've been going through the curriculum for the last several years, but I felt like the curriculum jumped around a little bit too much. So it's like literally we'd be in this range, this second, this range, this second, or at the very least we'd be jumping around different drills. So what I wanted to make sure we did was that even when a person gets to intermediate level, they're still focusing on all the kickboxing drills all in one cycle. and we have to remember that in each cycle is still consistent of 3 months. So that doesn't change. But my focus is kickboxing just during that time. My focus in this cycle is just weapons drills just during that time, or ground fighting drills just during that time, or close quarters and mass attack drills just during that time. As we get into the advanced level, that's when we're focusing more on the science of it. That's when we really get into some advanced tactics. So stuff that we maybe did not have time to get through in your strategy learning here, that's when it's here. I'll give you a really, really great example. Basic mass attack would be taught right here. So if I have 2 guys show up and attack me, I need to know how, at a fundamental level, how to deal with those people. But now what happens if I have a situation where it's a mass attack situation and one guy has a knife and one guy has a stick? Or let's say one guy has a stick and one guy is empty-handed. What happens if both of them have a firearm? How do I deal with that kind of crazy situation? So you guys understand that's kind of what I would classify as being advanced tactics? In order to really do these advanced tactics, you cannot have these things down first. So it's still a progression. At the exact same time, we're still categorizing that, where we're now focusing on that one range at one time. It's not like we're doing a close quarters drill and then all of a sudden the following week, without really developing that close quarters drill, we're going to start throwing a ground fighting drill at you. Does that make sense? Right. So once again, everything's going to be categorized as far as that goes. Through running a handful of students at a couple organizations, through kind of summarized programs like this, what I found kind of something that we all want from martial arts as being kind of like that second nature skill level developed much, much faster. At the exact same time, obviously a person's confidence then that they got from that kind of stuff developed much, much faster as well. So once again, in a nutshell, this is now our basic curriculum here at Elite Defense Systems. Once again, beginner level, focusing on the fundamentals, intermediate level, focusing on the art of what we learn and teach, and then last but not least, the advanced, focusing on the science as well. All right, so we're going to have fun with it, and once again, that's going to start very, very soon here.